What do all these people have in common? Except for all being past US presidents. They all wore Brooks Brothers. Brooks Brothers has arguably had the biggest impact on American men's style, bar none. Ever see old photos and everyone's wearing a suit? Yeah, you can at least partially credit Brooks Brothers for that. And as I was going through men's style and clothing forums gathering information for this video, I noticed a common theme of how people were introduced to Brooks Brothers. They inherited it from a father or a great uncle and then fell in love with it, which speaks not only to the brand's longevity and timeless designs, but also to its quality. But as is the tale with many other clothing brands, changing tastes in style and consumption have taken what was once passed from generation to generation to one that often ends up in a landfill after a year or so. But it doesn't all have to, especially the good stuff, and we're going to cover how to spot that good stuff. But first, we need a quick history lesson. Brooks Brothers was founded in 1818 by Henry Sands Brooks as a clothing store on the corner of Catherine and Cherry Streets in Manhattan, gaining the name Brooks Brothers after being taken over by Henry Brooks's 4 sons. The famous Golden Fleece, a symbol long used by British woolen merchants, was adopted as the official logo in 1850, and it was around this same time that the company really made a name for itself by introducing the ready-to-wear or off-the-rack suit, as opposed to one custom-made or made to measure. A truly revolutionary innovation allowing people of lower economic classes to wear this symbol of professionalism. Brooks Brothers reached even more glorious heights by outfitting President Lincoln in many suits, including the one he was tragically assassinated in. Simultaneously, Brooks Brothers was called upon to outfit Union soldiers fighting in the Civil War, but was highly criticized for their fabric quality and even credited with bringing the word shoddy into existence. But for the next century plus, Brooks Brothers took that lesson to heart and ascended to become the preeminent outfitter of the American professional and celebrity class, outfitting more politicians, CEOs, and entertainers than probably any other brand. I mean, the list is truly extensive. Much of their popularity, outside of their commitment to quality, can really be credited to 3 of their early 20th century innovations/adaptations that are now just synonymous with classic American menswear, including the sack suit, a generous-fitting, minimally shaped suit that was practical for working in and could fit a wide array of body types, basically the suit we associate with suits. The Oxford cloth button-down, or OCBD, inspired by polo-specific shirts whose collars were buttoned to the shirt body to prevent it from flapping around, and their creative tie designs, most specifically the rep and foulard tie, European-inspired designs that were new to the American style palette, but are now the ties we just associate with ties. And from then, basically through all of the 20th century, Brooks Brothers' style evolution was relatively minimal. It bucked the trends that came and went, becoming a broader symbol of conservatism. Here's an interesting quote from John C. Wood, who ran Brooks Brothers from 1946 to 1967. "They call us conservative, but we think that our styles are simply lacking the bizarre. We deal in what a man should wear, not what some women think he should wear." Now, I imagine that quote does not land well with everyone, but it definitely gives an idea of the company's philosophy. But, as someone wise once said, the only constant in life is change. And by the 1980s, the winds of change in professional work attire had really begun to blow. The suit slowly gave way to just a tie, to casual Fridays, to business casual, eventually leading to the truly relaxed looks we see today. Brooks Brothers did attempt to keep up with the times, but with multiple changes in ownership and a shift to more mass-market, overseas-produced offerings, Brooks Brothers' once firm identity became less secure, leading to both a loss in its once loyal following and failure to gain a new one. The final nail in the coffin came when the coronavirus locked many of us out of the office, and in July of 2020, Brooks Brothers filed for bankruptcy. Now, the company is still around, but occupies just a fraction of its former glory and market share. But with such a voluminous past and modest current market share, there is a lot of pre-owned Brooks Brothers out there. Also, if you want to explore Brooks Brothers history more, I highly recommend this book, Generations of Style. Lots of great information and pictures. Pulled a lot of stuff from it for this video. So with that, let's move into the basics of buying pre-owned Brooks Brothers. Before we start, I want to preface by saying a few things that are kind of contradictory. One, I will miss some details. Brooks Brothers has been around for a long time, and there is a massive rabbit hole around tags, dates, and who made what tag and when this transition happened. But I feel the level of detail I will go into will help the majority of buyers really navigate the pre-owned market. Two, though I will miss details, this section is still pretty detail-oriented, so just a heads up. And to kick things off, I think we need to first cover Brooks Brothers' major lines and Diffusion lines, aka their cheaper, less expensive lines, and their associated labels, styles, and levels of quality, starting with Golden Fleece. Unsure when this label began, I'm guessing late 90s. It is now basically defunct. It is their upper tier line and uses the finest materials, manufacturing processes, and tailoring. To identify, just look for Golden Fleece spelled out, but some of their newer stuff is unlabeled or will have this tag. I've noticed a large price disparity within this line, with some stuff commanding top dollar and other stuff just this side of budget, so there's definitely some value lurking here. Black Fleece. Black Fleece was around from 2007 to 2015, with famous designer Tom Brown at the helm, and was intended to create a high-quality, modern, fashion-forward line, and can be easily identified by this unique tag. Black Fleece is very sought after, with pieces going for many hundreds of dollars. Expect slim cuts and more statement-style pieces. Great stuff, but be prepared to pay. 1818 line. This line came about, I believe, in the late 1990s and is their flagship line and what is primarily sold at their main line opposed to factory stores. Not the highest quality, but still considered very good quality. With the suits and trousers, just look for 1818. Now with the sweaters, coats, and chinos, the label will just say Brooks Brothers, but I think they still fall under the 1818 line or designation. I'll expand on that in a bit. This line is what I'd recommend the average borrower target because it's the most profuse and the value to price ratio is very high. Good to very good stuff at very affordable prices. Brooks Brothers Country Club. I'm unsure of Country Club's lifespan, guessing late 90s to maybe 2015, and is considered higher quality, probably around 1818 mainline or maybe a bit better. The styles are more casual, but still very refined. You know, stuff you wear at a country club or hunt club. Definitely a line to look out for and easily identifiable because it says Country Club. 346 line. Started in the 1970s, 346 is a diffusion or lower quality line of the 1818 line, offering essentially the same styles just at a lower price point and quality. Easy to identify because it says 346. One might compare this to the average stuff you'd get at a Macy's, and many pre-owned staples can be bought for less than $20. But vintage 346 is much more highly regarded and can go for much more. Red Fleece, launched in 2013 with an aim to attract a younger clientele with more youthful, modern takes on the classic prep favorites by including slimmer cuts and lower prices, thus lower quality as well. This line seems to be basically defunct with little to no currently available on their website and can be easily identified because it says Red Fleece on the tag. Red Fleece isn't anything special, but if you're looking to buy some shirts at less than $15, $20 a pop, I guess it's not bad. So these are the main culprits you will encounter when shopping for pre-owned Brooks Brothers. But here are a few other lines that I'll just briefly touch on. Brooks Makers. So Brooks Brothers long prided themselves as both makers and merchants of their clothing. But this changed over the years with more and more production being licensed out and pushed overseas, but some stuff they continued producing, and still do to a very small extent, in-house, thus gaining the label Makers. You'll also see some stuff saying Makers and Merchants. This is all high quality, coveted stuff, and from my understanding, all made in the USA at company-owned factories. And Brooksgate. This was an entry-level line introduced in the 1970s, kind of designed for prep and college students, meant as a gateway into the brand. Lesser quality, but the older stuff does seem to have some fans. So that all sounds pretty straightforward, right? Easy to differentiate the good stuff from the just not so good stuff. Well, not so fast. So for some time, Brooks Brothers manufactured their 346 line to be sold exclusively at their factory stores, while the 1818 and other lines were sold at the mainline stores, and differentiating the two was easy. If it said 346, factory, everything else mainline and better quality. But around 2012, 14, 15-ish, in what some might argue is deceptive branding, Brooks Brothers phased out this clear labeling, with everything now just saying Brooks Brothers. No 346 or 1818. Now, this isn't a problem if you buy your stuff new at the mainline stores, but it can make sorting through the pre-owned markets a headache unless you can spot the difference. And spotting this difference matters because the two lines are not created equal. First way, purchase tags. So if the clothes still have the tags on them, you can look at this number here, which will be either 26 or 27. 26 is their main line, 27 is their outlet. Second way, attach labels. For the shirts, if it says established 1818, mainline. If it's just 1818, it's the outlet. Yeah, tricky. For the rest of their stuff, ties, sweaters, jackets, chinos, etc., you have to look at the font. Mainline will be cursive, and outlet will be this standard block lettering. Kind of a pain, but knowing this is huge and will really help you identify the good stuff. So going to the bottom of the Brooks Brothers vintage rabbit hole is way beyond the scope of this video. But let's cover some basics because many regard the older stuff to be better quality or just appreciate the cuts and designs. So anything with this block lettering is at least 30 years old. You might also come across tags with Brooks Brothers written in script, but the manufacturing location and material are on the same tag. This is older stuff, likely the mid-90s, but it's really good stuff. Now with the shirts, it's a little trickier because they've kept the same general tag, but there is a helpful article from Put This On that does a little breakdown if really interested. I'll leave a link in the description. But if you see anything made in Malaysia, Vietnam, or China, it's not gonna be very old. Also note, just because it was made in the USA doesn't mean it's necessarily old. As mentioned earlier, Brooks Brothers has always domestically produced some of their clothing. For the last couple decades, mostly or only shirts, ties, and suits, and as of 2020, only shirts, I believe. But if you see a sweater made in the USA, it's likely pretty old. Now I understand this isn't the most comprehensive vintage breakdown, but I hope it at least provides a foothold to explore more. Now sizing. So Brooks Brothers has a really comprehensive sizing system with 3 to 4 different fits to choose from. I would highly recommend you familiarize yourself with it before hitting the pre-owned markets. But beware, it only pertains to their newer-ish stuff and not all their clothing styles. And by newer-ish, I think like last 20-ish years. And now for the stuff that doesn't have a fit designation, it's fair to assume it'll fit on the roomier side, excluding black and red fleece. And with vintage Brooks Brothers, expect even roomier fits unless it's really old. Bottom line, if it's old, lean into listed measurements or request them, else you'll be kind of shooting in the dark. Now size is a perfect segue to talk about staples. And by staples I mean what I would recommend the average person shop for, and that's their actual staples, shirts and pants. Because besides the fact there's a lot to choose from, their sizing system makes nailing a particular fit a lot easier, and like I said, not all their clothing like sweaters and coats use this system. So let's take a closer look at each. So for the shirts, I focus on the numerically sized stuff opposed to the alphabetically sized, because combined with their fit system, it makes estimating fit quite precise because you're dealing with actual measurements. They're also generally higher quality and can retail for up to and over $200, but can be found on the secondhand markets at a fraction of the cost. Now amongst the shirts, the most coveted and respected is their Oxford cloth button down, or OCBD, but not all their OCBDs are created equal. We're going to dive a little deeper into this later in the video, so stick around if interested. Now pants. So let's make a quick distinction within pants. There are chinos, typically made of cotton and meant for casual settings, and trousers, typically made of wool and meant for more formal setting. Now there are thousands of pre-owned chinos for sale, and a good amount are still new with tags or unworn. For something many of us wear on a daily basis that also isn't very soil resistant, buying pre-owned makes a lot of sense. Next, trousers. So Brooks Brothers trousers retail for close to $250, creating opportunities for some real savings. I snagged this pair for $28 when doing a past video covering cocktail attire, and they're fantastic. But be mindful that all previously worn trousers were tailored in some way, generally just hem, so demand an actual measurement unless buying new pre-owned. Now you might be saying, what about suits? You know, Brooks Brothers became somewhat famous largely because of their suits. Well, Brooks Brothers is a great place to buy a pre-owned suit, but kind of diving into that is really beyond the scope of this video, and frankly, I don't have the expertise to honestly advise on it. Besides, a golden fleece suit is gonna be better than a 346 suit and whatnot. Also, don't sleep on Brooks Brothers coats and sweaters. Brooks Brothers has had a great reputation for both over the years, but being successful with them does require a bit more patience and kind of an eye for wear and tear. But if you focus on the higher tier lines, 1818 and up, especially with the sweaters, you'll be headed in the right direction. And their ties are great too. Now it's time to buy myself something. And I know just what I want. An Oxford cloth button down. It's kind of hard to say that many times, Oxford cloth button down. Now, some of you might be saying, hey, you're wearing a Brooks Brothers OCBD, so why get another one? Well, remember what I said about not all of them being created equal? Well, this one is at the lower end of the hierarchy because it's not 100% cotton. It's got a little stretch to it. I think they put some elastane in it. It's non-iron. Purists insist the best are not non-iron because The non-iron ones kind of have like a chemically plasticky feel to it, I guess, and they're not as breathable. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll find out. And it was made for their factory stores. It only says 1818, not established 1818. Yeah. I'm after a numerically sized, not non-iron, 100% cotton, made in the good old US of A. One. A shirt that costs $200 new. Lauded by the fussiest of fussy menswear aficionados. All right, now, so that's not to say that this one and other OCBDs are bad. I've heard a lot of great things about the 100% cotton made in Malaysian ones, so you don't need to just buy one of these fancy ones. But I want to see what the best feels like, and you can never have too many OCBDs. All right, let's go buy one. So I began by searching Brooks Brothers 1736 Oxford, then Brooks Brothers 1736 OCBD, and a whole bunch of other keywords on both eBay and Google Shopping. Now there are a good amount of these good OCBDs out there, but they're not always clearly titled and can kind of get lost in the mix. I found this one that looked clean and measurements looked good. In hindsight, I should have asked for slave measurements instead of trusting the label, fingers crossed. And also, it looks purple, but I did confirm with the buyer that this is indeed blue. Then a bit later on, I received a fair offer of $45 total and decided to pounce. All right, packages in, and to try them on, I figured I'd throw on my up, absolutely beautiful. Picked them up pre-owned because they're like $800 or $900 new. A little steep. So my guess is this Oxford is gonna fit a little roomy and would probably go better with like a pair of jeans and kind of a more casual setting, but I could possibly put darts in it, and why not try it with the Brooks Brothers trousers, right? All right, here we go. Hope the sleeves fit. It definitely is blue. Just goes to show you that pictures can deceive. Looks clean, collar looks great. Looks good. Collar's clean, armpits are clean, cuffs look good. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. I'm smiling if you can't tell. So far, so good. Ah, I love it. I love it. It's great. It's great. Sleeve length. Sleeves are plenty long. Usually the sleeves, sometimes sleeves are a problem with me, but these sleeves fit great. Length fits good. It's roomy. Would I wear it with these trousers? I don't know. Let's see how it looks tucked in. Yeah, why not? You know, there's a good amount of room in the arms, so this is probably an older piece, or maybe not, but I do think it is an older piece because there is this roominess in the arms, which does not bother me. I do not like tight-fitting arms. But I would wear it like this. I'd wear it with a pair of jeans. Ultimately, this was great. For $45, I am very, very happy. Got a little bit of extra room here. I could have darts put in it. And honestly, I think I'll probably end up wearing this thing mostly with jeans. But ultimately, very happy to have this shirt in my collection. Neck is fine if I want to wear a tie with it. Yeah, awesome. Woohoo! Go Brooks Brothers pre-owned. All right, let's wrap this up. All right, so I'm gonna try to keep this wrap up quick because this is already a very long video, but I wanna mention three things. One, I wanna pay respect to Brooks Brothers, if you may, because it is really impressive what they have done. If you know anything about business, then you know that staying in business for as long as they have is really impressive. They have had such an impact on style, and not only style, but culture, and I think it's worth mentioning that. I mean, Brooks Brothers is become almost like an adjective now to describe things, both in a good and a not so good light. Number two, this information is not all verified with official Brooks Brothers channels. I pulled it all from the internet. Now, I did extensive research to find all this information. I'm talking dug through piles and piles and piles of style forums and articles and anything I could find. But if you think some of the information I presented is misleading or missing context, please, let me know, let us all know in the comment section. I am not here to position myself as an authority figure. I am here to provide information. So please, let us all know. And number three, if I could only buy pre-owned clothes from two companies right now, one of them would be Brooks Brothers. I mean, there is just so much good stuff out there on the online marketplace. And it does take a little bit of effort and know-how to find that good stuff. It just doesn't jump out at you, but it is there, and it is very affordable, and this is living proof of it. I mean, $45 for this shirt is fantastic. I'm really happy with it. But I hope this video has helped you, and happy shopping, and until next time.